Hey guys, doing a video on two major foundational building blocks within the home Reef Aquarium here. We're going to be looking at Copepods and live phytoplankton. I'm also going to go through what I dose for these, how frequently I add it. I've got a lot of stuff in this video around these two. I have several variations in my reef tank to make sure that I get a good diverse ecosystem. And we're going to talk through what that looks like and what I'm putting in. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so the first one we're going to talk about is live phytoplankton. As you can see, I dose 4 different types. I dose nano, which is the most popular, most widely used throughout the hobby. Tons of people grow this at home and dose it to their tank regularly on high amounts. The next type I use is the PT. I also use the Chlorella and the Tetra. So 4 different types. We're going to look at each one of those and kind of discuss why those 4 different types. But overall, what is phytoplankton? Phytoplankton it's a microscopic algae, but most importantly is it's a very essential part of the food chain within the reef tank. Consumers of phytoplankton are corals, clams, filter feeders within the tank, and most importantly, one of the big consumers are the copepods, which is what we'll talk about next. And those copepods, keeping them alive and thriving, is very important to the reef tank, so we want to make sure that we do that. In addition to being that food source, they also help provide nutrients to your tank and boost your water quality. So tons of different positives from adding these guys. So let's start looking at some of these individual ones and what each one does. All right, so real quick, let's talk about how much of live phytoplankton that I dose in my tank. I dose in my tank 2 full medicine cups, just like the medicine cups that you get at the pharmacy. 2 full medicine cups, which is about 50 milliliters, and I dose that twice a week. It's just a standard medicine cup there, about 25 milliliters in each medicine cup. I put 2 of them into the tank, and I do that twice a week as my standard dosing. All right, so let's talk about the nano first. The nano is a good source of nutrients, especially things like lipids and omega-3 fatty acids, EPA specifically, and can help improve water quality by consuming and binding nitrates, phosphates, and heavy metals. One thing I want to point out on all of these is they're all going to have that aspect where out in the community it says, oh, they help control nitrates, they help control phosphates, etc. They are not going to make a significant difference in your tank. Do they help? Sure. Are they going to control these things in your tank and manage your water quality from that aspect for you? No, they are not. So just keep in mind, although they are said to help with those things, they do not control them. So the next one we're going to look at here is PT. PT is rich in essential nutrients such as omega-3 fatty acids like EPA. So again, just like nano, it has a bunch of fatty acids in it. Fatty acids are great for helping your corals with the essential nutrients they need, helping develop color, things like that. So it's a really good source for your tank. And they are also said to help reduce nitrates and phosphates and even potentially aid in controlling some of that nuisance algae by outcompeting it for food. Again, it's not going to go consume that algae, but it is going to consume some of the food sources that that algae would also consume, and if the food source isn't there for the nuisance algae, there's less that's going to grow. All right, now we're going to look at the SP, the Chlorella Sp. It is a good source of nutrients for things such as rotifiers, copepods as well. Can help improve the water quality by absorbing some of the excess nutrients. It absorbs things like ammonia, nitrogen, and phosphorus. Again, not to a level that's going to control that in your tank, but it does assist. All right, so lastly here, we are going to look at Tetra. So Tetra is a readily consumed food source for a variety of filter feeding organisms in your tank. Things that consume it are things such as corals, sponges, even those little sponges that you didn't intentionally put in, the little sponges that came in attached to your live rock. So corals, sponges, porcelain crabs would consume it, fan worms, again, not even necessarily the ones that you put in, the little fan worms that came attached to your live rock. They are good filter feeders. They are good help with keeping your tank clean. So we want to keep those guys alive. We want to keep them open and moving in your tank. So this is going to help feed them and help keep them alive and thriving. And that's going to help with your tank ecosystem and water quality. So again, good thing to keep those guys alive. It's also a good source of lipids, amino acids, omega-3 fatty acids. Again, a lot of people go out of the way to add large amounts of amino acids. Although this isn't going to give you all the amino acids you need, it is an assistance. So amino acids, omega-3 fatty acids such as EPA and DHA, which are both essential for health and coloration of your marine life. All right, so next let's talk about copepods. As you can see, I add 3 different types. I add the tiger, the apex, and the tisbe. So what are copepods? They are tiny little crustaceans. But even more is they are an essential part of your reef tank ecosystem. So they bring excellent nutrient-rich food source to fish and corals, especially those finicky fish, most notably that hard to keep mandarin fish. Some mandarins that are brought in from the wild, their exclusive food source is going to be copepods. So keeping a healthy amount in your tank helps you keep a lot more diversity in what you can stock. So they also help control things like detritus because they're living animals. They need to eat, so they eat some of that detritus. They help control algae as a result because they're getting nutrients out of the tank. And of course, they help balance your ecosystem. And I'm going to note that I up my copepods every 6 months, and I put in a large amount. I stock it heavy. I add 3 16-ounce bottles every 6 months, and I dump in all 3 16-ounce bottles at one time. So it goes from a very heavy stock. And as they kind of deplete over time, I add more and more bottles to make sure that my copepod stock is kept heavy, as well as I keep a diverse amount or diverse type in there on a regular basis. All right, so the first one we're going to look at here is tiger pods. They have a size of 1,000 to 1,500 microns. They're a natural live food source for a variety of reef inhabitants, things such as finicky fish, filter feeding invertebrates. They consume detritus and microfilm algae that can accumulate on rock and glass. And again, just like I said, for the phytoplankton, it's not going to do enough to control your algae. You're going to have to do something else like making sure you have good water quality to control the algae. They will assist, they will help, but they are not your control system. You need more than just tiger pods to control algae. All right, so now apex pods. Apex is 600 to 700 microns, so almost half the size of the tiger pod, and they are a great food source for finicky fish as well, for invertebrates, corals, and including SPS, LPS, and NPS. They also help consume detritus and film algae. All right, so the last one we're going to look at here is Tisbe, and it is drastically smaller than the other two. It is 50 to 100 microns. It is also a great food source for finicky fish, invertebrates, corals, including the SPS, LPS, and NPS. And they also help consume dead organic matter, detritus like uneaten food, algae, and decaying plant matter. So again, good scavengers and food source for your reef ecosystem. All right, hopefully this video helped. Hopefully you know a little bit more about phytoplankton and copepods and their essential role in your reef tank. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, check out some more of my content, and I'll get more out soon. Thanks, guys.